Hi, welcome back. MJ Kinman here. I'm so glad we had a chance to go through lesson 1, which introduced you to the codes that are going to help you put these blocks back together. This lesson, lesson number 2, is all about how you might find some inspiration to make these gemstones your own. Now, some of you are like, you know what? I want to make that sapphire exactly like that. I want to make this pink tourmaline exactly like this. And that's perfect. That's fine. I'm thrilled. I also have provided fabric translations for you if you are having a hard time getting your hands on Paintbrush Studio fabrics, or want to use Kona or Michael Miller Cotton Couture or Motabella Solids or Hoffman 1895 Bali Batiks. You can do that. So in the email, I have sent you the fabric translations. However, in this particular lesson, I'd like to show you what some of my customers, my clients have done with these gemstones that just might spark some creative juices going. I know I'm mixing my analogies there, but oh well. And then I want to share with you a little bit about the importance of color and value contrast. You know, they talk about the fact that color gets all the credit, but value does all the work. It's true, and I'm going to show you why. And then if you do have a series of fabrics that you want to use to replace any of the fabrics in these gemstones, I'm going to show you how you can do that using the grayscale on your phone. Here we go. So here are some examples of gemstones created by a wonderful woman by the name of Denise. She goes by Denise Quilting on Facebook, but she took the amethyst block, which is February's birthstone, and look what she did with it. She used the amethyst color on one side of it and the citrine color on the other side. Do you know what she made? She made an ametrine. Ametrines are actual jewels, actual gemstones made by gem cutters have found a stone that has both amethyst and citrine crystals in the same stone, and they've just cut around it to make it look like, to bring out both the colors of the purple and lavender and the yellow and the gold. I think this is spectacular. Moving down, look what she did with the emerald. She took the emerald pattern and she transformed it into a tanzanite. She used the tanzanite fabrics to transform it from an emerald. Now, we're going to talk about how you can do this, and keeping in mind that value contrast, honoring the value contrast across different hues or colors is the key. And here she did it again. She took pink tourmaline and she replaced it with some of the diamond colors. Doesn't that look fabulous? I think it's soft and wonderful and just glows. And finally, here are some other examples. She took the alexandrite and turned it into, I think that's an orange sherbet. I just love what she's done with it. So if that intrigues you, let's keep going. Sometimes people ask me, should all my sapphires be blue? Should all my rubies be red? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Sapphires come in all different colors. They come in pink and yellow and green and blue and a little purplish color. It's amazing. And gemstones come in all colors of the rainbow. In fact, what's exciting about color gemstones and the color gemstone industry is that you never know what they might be pulling out of the ground, out of a mine next week or next month or next year. I have a friend who is a color gem dealer in Maysville, Kentucky, and they were absolutely gobsmacked when some of their friends told them about a new type of Mozambique purple garnet that they found. That actually is the inspiration for the project in my book that's coming out. But she was just amazed at it, and it is a stunning, stunning color. Now, what's interesting is that was just a small pipe, a small cache of gemstones. And so when it's gone, and you just don't know when you're going to find another one. So stay tuned. What I wanted to show you here is a really glorious and rare sunstone. So this orange gem is a sunstone in a deep flame orange color. It's spectacular. And do you see how this lovely crystal as well? She's almost colorless, but has a little bit of pink in her. And look at these gorgeous things. This gemstone in the upper left-hand corner is a lavender zoisite. Zoisite is actually unheated tanzanite. Tanzanite is that beautiful purplish blue stone, but it's heated. And when it's unheated, it is a zoisite. And in fact, both of these gemstones over here on the upper left and over here on the right are, I'm going to move my picture out of there a little bit, are zoisites. This is a beautiful, both of them are lavender zoisites. This has a little bit more green in it. And down below, do you know what this is? This is a watermelon tourmaline. You find these in Maine. Beautiful red on one side, and then it flows right into that beautiful green color. So again, I just want you to know that there are gems out there that just blow your mind. And I would love it if you would design a gemstone that hasn't even been discovered yet. So the key to creating sparkle in your gemstones is value contrast. Everybody thinks it's the color, and we just talked about color and how you can use any color in the rainbow, but the key to creating bling in your gemstone and sparkle is contrast, is value contrast. Okay. High contrast creates drama and becomes the focal point of your design. You can see here where I have put the lightest lights and the darkest darks next to one another. And when you do that, that actually sets them off. That becomes your focal point. That's what creates bling in your gemstones. Let me keep showing you. Here's a little bit of a lightest light and darkest darks. So do you see this little triangle here set on point? Looks like it reads white, right? It's not. It looks white because it's set right next to that black piece. This is one of the lightest greens that I could find for this particular gemstone. But again, it's a light green. It's not white. And here again, lightest lights and darkest darks together will get you that drama. All right. Now, to have that contrast, though, you've got that high contrast, lights, lights, dark, darks together, focal point. You also need low contrast. You need areas that kind of smolder. Basically depth and mystery. So you can see in these gemstones, I have also created places where it's a subtle change of value. Low value contrast creates the drama and allows the high areas to really pop. So for example, in Elizabeth, this is the Elizabeth diamond. This is the area of low contrast. Do you see how there's very gradual change of value over whites to a light gray to maybe a little bit darker gray? All right, so you can change the hue to create your own gem while still preserving and respecting the value contrast. So I have this citrine. This is actually one of my birthstones that we'll be doing, I think, in week 3, is a citrine, but I've put her in a photo image editing app called Photoscape. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use one of the tools in Photoscape to change the hue, to make that pigment actually change across the rainbow. So here she is in gold, and I am going to move her, you know, this little toggle switch down here, and she moves to kind of a weird olive green, to then a teal, to more of a sapphire color. But do you see, we changed the hue, but we didn't change the value contrast. The dark areas are still the dark areas. The light areas are still the light areas. Let's go back up. Do you see? Dark areas are still dark, light areas are still light. It's honoring the value contrast, but just changing the hue. So what if I want to use multiple hues, which are colors, in my bite-sized gem? Like, for example, I would love to do a watermelon tourmaline with one of the gemstones during the course of this time together. This is, again, I showed you what this watermelon tourmaline looks like. So I have a stash of pinks and fuchsias, and I have a stash of my greens here. Well, Joseph Albers was this incredible art teacher in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. He basically said that it's really difficult for humans to separate value from hue. Animals can do it just fine. Animals can't see color. They see black and white, but humans have an extra mechanism in our eyeballs, in our brain, that help us see hue, help us to see color. And so if we actually have 2 sets of colors, like I had my watermelon tourmaline stash, my fuchsia colors and my green, it's really hard for us to pick out similar or dissimilar values across hues. Now, if you've not ever run into Joseph Albers' work before, and you're interested in color, which, I mean, that's a pool you can dive into and never hit the bottom, right? I'd look up this book, Joseph Albers' Interaction of Color. It's not necessarily about the color wheel and how to use colors and in triads and monochromatics and that kind of thing. It literally is working with color to make them do things, to create transparency, to make some colors look small and other colors look larger when they're side by side, when they're together, when they're interacting. It's mind-blowing. When I have a few free seconds, I would love to really study this and create a class on it, and then do maybe a series of art quilts that would sort of explain some of his concepts, but I have to figure them out first. It's just mind-blowing. So it's difficult for humans to separate value from color. So which of these two do you think is the lighter value? I would think it was that that pink color was the lighter value. Nope. They are virtually identical. Virtually identical. How about this? Which of these three colors is the lighter value? I thought for sure, not at all that yellow. That yellow would be a darker color. Look at this. Their light values are identical, virtually identical. So it's hard. An example, it's hard for us to separate out, to tell value across color. But there is a way to do that by removing the hue and transforming the images to grayscale. Our brains can better assess value contrast. So here is, let me move my little picture here. Here is 3 of my gemstones with all the color drained out of it. And now you can begin to see the light, medium, and dark value contrast in each one of those gemstones. So here we go. I've drained the color. And now I can begin better assess, all right, do I have similar values across the 2 hues? And what I'm learning here is that no, I need a much lighter hue on my stash on the left, which is my pink stash, to correspond to the stash on the right. I also see that, I have a lot of mid-tones in my pink stash and nothing really dark at all, nothing at all comparable to what's over in the green stash. So I need to add something there if I want to be able to use comparable colors in it, both lights, mediums, and darks in the same gemstone. So on the right, the stash on the right, look at this. I'm seeing that the first 2 pieces of fabric are virtually identical in a light contrast. So I could get rid of one, just use one over the other. It's not going to make a difference. And then it looks like there's quite a jump between this very light and this medium tone. I probably want to find a fabric that is going to help make that shift a little bit more gradual, something that's in between these 2 regarding contrast. And then right here between this middle one and the 2 above it that are almost identical in value contrast, that's quite a jump too. So I might want to insert another fabric that has a little bit darker than this one in the middle, a little bit lighter than the top 2, and insert that to make it a more gradual progression of value. And again, it's got this really nice dark piece. So if you want to find the correct value progression of your colors, do this. Take a picture of your fabric with your phone, and then use the grayscale filter to help put your fabric in correct value order. So you'll see here, I have a selection of fabrics that actually were fabrics that I used to create the rainbow unicorn colorway for Elizabeth. And I put it in order that I thought I would need to, that was a value progression from light to dark. I took a picture of it in grayscale, and I realized I needed to move some things around. And so I did. I took another picture, and look, it seems to flow pretty decently, right? Again, once you can see which colors have the same value, you then can begin to audition them for final selection. So obviously these 3 colors are virtually identical. So I could say, all right, I'm going to take out that yellow. Now, do I like the light blue and the light, or I'm going to take out the yellow and the blue. Do I like this progression with just the pink in it? Or do I like it with the blue? Or do I like it with the yellow? And you just keep auditioning fabric until your heart says, oh, that's it. We often don't listen to our hearts nearly often enough. And I really would like for you to encourage in this class to begin listening to your heart, listening to that moment when you're like, oh, I like that. That means your heart is telling you that you love that and that that is the choice for you. So as we move along this progression, you can see I have a couple of fabrics that are the same value contrast down at the bottom. And look, they range from a purple to a mint green to more of a, what's that color? Maybe a chartreuse to maybe a lavender. So again, I have lots of opportunity here to audition these fabrics to say, do I like this or do I like this? So let's talk now about fabric. Fabric is that aspect of your design that's going to impact the luminosity or the clarity of your gemstone. When I first started doing gems, I used solids exclusively. It just was easier for me. I just didn't really understand how pattern and value change within a particular fabric, how I would manage that. I hadn't figured that out yet. And so solids was the way I went. And actually between River and Sky, my gemstone, bourbon diamond gemstone that's actually over at the Carnegie Center for Art and History in the Form Not Function show, which is a contemporary art quilt annual show, is all done in solids. I did it all with Paintbrush Studio fabrics. So you can see all of these, you know, and you've got a huge range. They make solids in every color and every shade. It's just remarkable. Again, these images are all from equilter.com, by the way. And these are patterns that are called octagon rows. This is a pattern that I made for my gem affiliates so that they could teach that. All right. Now, you can also use textured solids. The thing with textured solids is that you're going to be able to get a number of different color codes out of each piece of fabric, right? So if you wanted to make a gemstone that had some coral color in it and some peach and some light green, you could use this, but each one you're going to assign a different color code. Same with ombres. Ombres are marvelous fabrics. Here, the one on the left actually goes from a light value to a light value to a dark value. And the one on the right goes a progression of hue. These are really nice. And again, you're going to get multiple colors codes, aren't you, out of each one. This might be a light lavender, a medium lavender, and a dark lavender. And you will have a green, a yellow, an orange, a pink, a kind of a lavendery color, purple, indigo, and then a blue. And so each one of these fabrics is going to yield multiple color codes for you. Same with hand-dyed fabrics. Hand-dyed, this is actually a piece of ice dye. Think of all the colors the color codes you can get out of that one. Gorgeous. And Bali hand dyes. After I stopped using prints, I went, I spent a lot of time using Bali hand dyes for my quilts because I loved the way it kind of looked like light was floating up from the bottom of the gemstone up to the surface. And again, there's just beautiful colorways that you can find. And finally, because I wanted to have a little more control over the flow and light and color of my of the facets in my art quilts, I learned how to paint my own fabric. I use Jacquard Products Dynaflow. It's DYE-NA-FLOW. I think it's FLOW from Jacquard Products, JACQUARD Products. It's beautiful, sort of a watercolor fabric paint that doesn't affect the hand of the fabric. You know, it doesn't make it stiff, and it's heat set. It heat sets when you hit it with a hot iron. I've actually done an experiment where I painted fabric, put half of it in the wash cycle and half of it not, and after that came back and it was virtually identical. So it's a really wonderful product. Now prints. Prints are tricky to use in gemstones. Prints, by definition, are divas, right? They call attention to themselves. They say, hey, look how gorgeous I am. And for me, I want people to look at the entirety of a gem and not just one facet. That's why I don't use lame in my quilts, because that would people would hone in on that immediately. And I want people to see the whole, the entirety of it, not just one or two facets. The thing, if you're going to use prints, I would try to find a print that comes in a lot of different colorways. So it comes in green or pink or blue, or even monochromatic colorways. That's even better. And the other thing is, if you're going to be using prints, I would use them all of a single genre, meaning florals, or all polka dots, or all grunge fabrics, or etc. You kind of understand what I'm saying. When you use prints of different genres, I guess, I'm not quite sure the best word to say, but it's kind of like listening to a radio station that plays Beethoven, country music, and hip hop, all on the same station, one right after another. I mean, it's all fun, beautiful music, but when you when they're right next to each other, it's a little jarring, just a little jarring. Bottom line is, use whatever makes your heart happy. I hope this has inspired you to maybe think about creative ways you can change the colors of your gemstones to suit your own heart. And I thank you for joining me. And you know what? Next time we get together at lesson 3, we are going to make the sapphire. Shine on.